reached the point in life where I enjoy farting in public. I'm so old, no one is allowed to get mad at me. There's nothing like crop dusting the produce aisle and watching the employees trying to figure out what's rotting. Even if I get caught, people just think, oh, poor things, he's so old. If you haven't tried it, then you ain't living.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, Physics Wednesday, March the 4th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we'll have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and Professor Feynman. All that and more when I get back. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you, Maria, then Stu.
Both trading up. Gold now at 5,181. That is up 1.1%, and the price of silver is up 1 2/3% at 84.85. We'll continue the coverage tomorrow morning. Don't miss the preview for the jobs numbers on Friday. Have a good day, everybody. Varney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. Marco Rubio warned that the war was about to intensify. That is exactly what's happening. These developments. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says America is winning. The results of 4 days of action are, he says, incredible. America has complete control of the skies and will patrol the country uncontested, finding and fixing Iran's leaders and industrial facilities. The Iranians, he says, are toast. Other developments. Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon launched a coordinated missile attack on Israel. That is a first. According to the New York Times, the son of the slain leader Khomeini is the front runner to be the next supreme leader. His name is Mujtaba Khomeini, and he's reportedly close to the hardline Revolutionary Guards. He's not been out in public. He may be a target. The president will ensure and protect shipping in the Straits of Hormuz. The Iranians say they will fire on ships in the Straits. The president says they're not going to get away with it. These developments are, I'm going to call them positive developments, and they're having a positive impact on the markets. Oil is back down to the low $70 per barrel level. Sorry, folks. $74 right now. Nat gas, that's coming in today at $2.97. It is down nearly 3%. Stocks rallying. After Tuesday's losses, optimism on the war is attracting buyers. The Dow up 120, S&P up 20, and the Nasdaq is up 127. Bitcoin is rallying too. It's back above $70,000, 71,004 to be precise. Gold still around 5,100, just shy of $5,200 an ounce. And interest rates, not much change. The 10-year yield's 407, the 2-year 351. Right there is 351. Got it. All right. On the show today, we're going to follow the market. Stocks rallying on Hegseth's statement that America is winning. We want to know if this is a serious bounce from the serious selling that we've been seeing lately. Politics. Jasmine Crockett goes down to defeat in the Democrat Senate primary in Texas. She's complaining about restricted voting. On the Republican side, John Cornyn will have to go through a runoff with Ken Paxton. They were only 1 point apart. We will look at the Democrats' opposition to the war. Hakeem Jeffries says the war will be a failure. He wants a congressional resolution that would stop our war effort. The Democrats should be careful, my opinion. Their comments sound like they want America to lose. And we'll bring you Kevin Hermaning. He was the youngest of the hostages the Iranians took in 1979. He'll tell us what his captivity was like and how he feels about the killing of Khomeini. Wednesday, March 4th, 2026.
And that was Stu Varney, Nonprofit News Now. Back in a minute. Thank you. And another quote from an X account called Chicago One Ray.
I believe for the rest of my life, I'll be doing the Lord's work. I'm going to make sure no black person is a Democrat ever again. I hope you got enough common sense and critical thinking to understand what's going on right now. I'm about to give you all the facts. Every day I think I'm going to come on here and tell you what these clowns have done to you. Can you just notice that they never got a solution for you and they always calling you a victim? That's number one. You always need Medicaid. You always need food stamps. You always need government assistance. Why? Why you can't need a job? Why you can't need an education? Why you can't need a better job? Why you can't need a house? Why you can't need a better car? Why you can't need better things than motherfucking government assistance? Lyndon Johnson said he gonna have these niggas voting for Democrats for the next 200 years because that's how goofy you is. They filibustered the Civil Rights Act. It was the last record they had in Congress. They took men out of your homes. They would rather than be homosexual than to be a man in a home raising a family. Do y'all not see this? They claim to be Christians but do everything against God. Are y'all Christians? I do not understand what's happening. Do you believe God's word or do you make it fit to your lifestyle? I do not understand what's going on. Was the dashikis not enough? When they walk their ass out there with dashikis on and your ass ain't never You ain't never been to Africa. But they thought the daishiki was unity for you. They play in your damn face. They play in your face, and you let them do it. You let them work up your emotions. You let them build fear. What happened to us being slaves now? We supposed to be slaves 6 months into the Trump presidency and all locked up in concentration camps.
Thank you. Now some motivation.
You're going to have more days you don't want to do something than you are going to want to. Most days, you're not going to be pumped up. Most days, you're going to feel weak. Most days, you're going to want to stay in bed. Most days, you're going to feel like most people do. But if you do what most people do, which is give yourself reasons to not get the tasks done, not get to work, not get out of bed, you're going to end up like most people, barely getting by, being unhappy with their lives.
You gotta make a different decision. You gotta decide enough is enough. You've had enough of being average and ordinary. You're tired of being mediocre. You're now gonna push yourself.
It's going to feel better when it's over. You know that when you get done doing the hard thing, it's going to feel better. Waking up, working out, taking care of some tedious task. You know you will feel better when it is done. You also know that if you don't do the hard thing, the thing that you don't want to do, that you don't feel like doing, you know if you don't do it, you're going to feel inferior. You know you're going to feel weak. And that feeling, that horrible feeling, you know that feeling too. You know it. You know it's true. Those are the two outcomes. One will cause you some short-term gratification. You'll get to sleep a little bit more. You won't have to put out during a workout. You don't have to do this tedious task. You'll get some short-term gratification, but the long-term regret will be strong, and it will inflict pain on you.
Successful people do one thing more than others. Make movement. They get it done.
While most people are slacking off, relaxing, wasting their time, the winners in the world are putting in work, studying their craft, practicing, running drills on how to perform better, putting in all those extra hours when everyone's already gone home.
And of course, you'll get tired. You'll get worn out. You'll feel exhausted and lazy and not want to work. And you'll have some really, really rough days. But when that happens, you got to tell yourself, I will not stop. I don't care what I have to go through. I'm going to get this done, no matter what.
You do what you know you need to do to move forward. And when you do that thing, you know you're going to feel strong, and you're going to feel gratified, and you're going to feel worthy of this life. That's how you're going to feel when you do what you're supposed to do. Remember that. Remember that the pain right now will absolutely pay off in the future. And the capitulation and the conceding defeat to weakness, that will absolutely result in the pain of regret and remorse later. You know this to be true, so don't allow it. Remember the feeling of victory that comes from doing the right thing, the hard thing. Remember that feeling, and then go get it done.
The work comes before the belief. You're going to have to do some work, and you're going to have to keep doing it consistently, even when you're not seeing the results, even when you feel like giving up. And eventually, results will begin to sprout as you do this. And when that happens, you're going to build faith, build belief in what it is you're doing. You start to realize, hey, I can really do this. This is actually working. And as you work more success sprouts.
You're going to start to create something. You have no motivation, you have no drive, you have no ambition, but you're going to force it to happen anyway because that's what bad motherfuckers do, and that's what you are. You're going to go through day by day by day doing the work regardless of how you feel like it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see a little bit of a result. And when you see that little bit of result, you're going to get happy. And what's going to happen in your brain is it's going to open up the possibilities for you of what you can actually achieve, because now you can clearly see that if I do the work, this result will happen. And when this result starts to happen, you get excited. And guess what comes with the excitement? The motivation.
And that was motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, meditation. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now from the X account of Thomas Sowell. It's called Thomas Sowell Quotes.
The left knows exactly how to bait black people because they use things like racism. The other day, Michelle Obama went on TV. She gave a whole speech, talked about how Trump was this and Trump was that. And at the very end of what she said, she made sure to say, and yes, it is racist. You know why? Because the minute you call anything racist or you add race into it, black people get emotional and they come out. I don't try to convince Democrats to be Republican. What I try to convince them to do is know your history and read a little bit. Most Democrats can't tell you why they're Democrats. They just hate Donald Trump. They can't even tell you what Biden did in 47 years, but they're going to vote for. They can't tell you what Kamala did while she was in California, locking black people up left and right, but they're going to vote for. When will the slaves get off the plantation? You know what happens when slaves get off the plantation? The house just tell on them.
And that was Thomas Sowell Quotes. Back in a minute. Thank you, and this is from an X account called Jamal.
I am proud to be everything liberals hate. Let me say that again. I am proud to be everything liberals hate. Black, conservative, Trump lover, Trump supporter, was at January 6th, mostly peaceful protests of American citizens, stand with President Trump, regardless of what they say or what they feel. Yes, I want you liberal Democrats disenfranchised the same way you disenfranchise us. Remember the Biden years? We remember, and that's why we made sure we voted for Donald Trump. So when you say, you realize who you standing for? Yes, I'm proud to be everything liberals hate. Because I remember y'all knew about Ashley Biden and Joe Biden, you know, taking showers together. And you still voted for Joe Biden. When Joe Biden was, you remember when he was touching kids and sniffing.
And that was from the account named Jamal. Back in a minute. Let's talk about something that the would-be conservative instinctively misunderstands. The notion that being kind is always the right response. The would-be conservative has learned that niceness is a virtue, that turning the other cheek is noble, and in most situations among normal people, that's true. But here's the problem. The liberal does not operate by the same moral or psychological framework. Niceness isn't seen by the liberal as a generous act. It is seen as a signal that the conservative is willing to submit. Once the liberal has picked up on that, the dynamic changes completely and irreversibly. The liberal views relationships as hierarchy, not as collaboration. It's a dominance game. They don't seek intimacy, they seek leverage. So when a conservative is nice and offers a liberal understanding, forgiveness, and compassion, the liberal thinks, good, I've got him trained. Liberalism is, at its core, a compensatory pathology. It masks a deeply fragmented sense of self, a grandiose sense of self, one that requires constant external validation in order to survive. The liberal feeds off that validation, and the conservative's niceness becomes the most delicious form of supply. Here's where it gets dangerous, because the conservative instinctively gives the benefit of the doubt, soothes conflict, and sees the best in everyone. But those instincts, which serve the conservative beautifully in most of life, are weaponized in the liberal's world. The liberal exploits the gap between the conservative's assumption of shared values and the liberal's calculated manipulation. While the conservatives think that he is building a bridge, the liberal is mapping out the conservative's pressure points. This is why the conservative that is caught in liberal relationships, romantic, professional, even familial, feels such cognitive dissonance. The conservative keeps thinking, if I'm just patient enough, kind enough, the liberal will change. The liberal will see that I'm different. What the conservative doesn't realize is that his kindness is being filed away as weakness. It emboldens the liberal, justifies their behavior. It teaches them that the conservative will tolerate more because he already has. There's a concept in behavioral psychology known as intermittent reinforcement. This is when unpredictable rewards strengthen behavior more than consistent ones. The liberal is a master of this. The liberal gives just enough kindness, just enough false hope to keep the conservative engaged, and the more that the conservative pours in, the more the liberal takes. It becomes a cycle. Conservative niceness enables liberal pathology, and the liberal will not stop because the liberal sees no reason to. Why would they, when the system works in their favor? Now, some might say, isn't it cruel to be anything but kind? Don't we all deserve grace? To that I say, kindness without boundaries is not grace, it's self-betrayal. When conservatives are nice to someone who exploits, manipulates, and gaslights them, they're not being moral, they're being complicit. That's a hard pill to swallow, but if their goodness consistently gets them hurt, it's not goodness anymore. It's naivete, and worse, it feeds the very dysfunction that the conservative is trying to fix. There's a deeper philosophical issue here, too. At what point does compassion become cowardice? When does the refusal to confront the liberal's destructive behavior stop being noble and start being self-destructive? That's a question that every conservative entangled with a liberal must eventually face, because niceness in that context becomes a moral bypass. You're not avoiding conflict for peace. You're avoiding it because you're afraid of being disliked, afraid of being the bad guy. The liberal can sense that. They smell fear like blood in the water. It's important for the conservative to remember that no one is obliged to be nice to people that have made a habit of hurting them. Respect must be mutual. Empathy must be reciprocal. Otherwise, the conservative is not in a relationship. He's in a performance. Every time the conservative chooses niceness over truth, he extends the liberal stage. The liberal keeps acting, and the conservative keeps applauding, hoping that the script will change, but it won't. Because for the liberal, it was never about truth to begin with. It was about control. The conservative is not here to be the liberal's emotional fuel. He's not here to be drained, diminished, and discarded. The conservative is here to live a life aligned with values, dignity, boundaries. The first step is recognizing that the liberal sees conservative kindness not as a gift, but as an opportunity to dominate, deceive, and destroy. So stop being nice to liberals. Be honest, be firm, be willing to walk away. Because in the end, real strength is not found in how long the conservative can endure the liberal's chaos. It's found in the conservative's ability to choose truth over the liberal narrative, and that, in the truest sense, is the most moral thing the conservative can do. Now, let's examine something far more subtle and more insidious: empathy. The very trait that society, quite rightly, teaches us to cultivate. The capacity to see and feel what another person is experiencing is a cornerstone of morality. Without it, cooperation would collapse. Civilization itself would disintegrate into tribal brutality. Empathy, like any virtue, when divorced from discernment, becomes a liability. And that's what the liberal understands in a way that the conservative doesn't. Most people assume that empathy is an inherently noble trait. But here's the reality. Empathy is only noble when it's exercised within the boundaries of truth and mutual responsibility. The liberal doesn't relate to empathy as something to be valued. The liberal sees it as something to use, to wield. The conservative's emotional attachment, desire to soothe, to understand, to repair is a weakness that the liberal will manipulate as easily as a puppeteer pulls strings. And the liberal is good at it because the liberal studies conservatives, not in a conscious, reflective way, but instinctively. The liberal observes conservative tells, triggers, guilt. The liberal listens for phrases like, "I just want peace," or "maybe I was too harsh." Every time the conservative hesitates to defend himself in the name of keeping the peace, the liberal takes note, logs it, and builds a psychological playbook specifically tailored to the conservative's vulnerabilities. That's what makes this so profoundly damaging. The conservative's not being exploited because he is weak in some fundamental way. Quite the contrary, he's being exploited because he cares, because his emotional radar is finely tuned, and because he believes that if he could just understand the liberal's pain, if he could just help the liberal feel safe or seen, the liberal would stop hurting him. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Professor Feynman.
There is a silence in the night sky that has bothered me for as long as I can remember. You look up, you see thousands of stars, and your intuition, that gut feeling that helps you navigate traffic or catch a ball, tells you that somewhere out there, someone must be looking back. It feels impossible that we are alone. But here's the problem with feelings. They evolved to help you survive on the African savanna, not to understand the structure of the cosmos. When you take that human intuition and apply it to the scale of the universe, it doesn't just fail, it snaps, it gets crushed. Because the moment you actually look at the math, the moment you look at the raw physics of how time, energy, and distance actually work, you are forced to confront a terrifying question. Why do we think our gut feeling has any authority over the laws of nature? See, on Earth, if you want to go somewhere, you go. If you want to go faster, you push harder. But out there, the rules change. The universe has set up 5 specific, merciless verdicts, 5 absolute walls that prevent civilizations from ever meeting. And I'm going to be honest with you. These aren't just hurdles. They are dead ends. By the time we finish today, you might feel smaller than you ever have before. But you will also understand exactly why no one has come to save us and why no one ever will. Let's strip away the science fiction. Let's strip away the Hollywood dreams. Let's look at the universe as it really is. The first verdict, and the one that breaks our brains before we even leave the ground, is distance. We say the word space casually, but we don't truly grasp what it means. We are biologically incapable of understanding the numbers we are about to discuss. Your brain is wired to understand distances you can walk or drive. Maybe if you travel a lot, you can conceptualize the distance of a flight from London to Sydney. That's your limit. So let's try to break that limit. Let's climb the ladder of scale. Start with Earth. It's a rock 12,742 kilometers wide. To you, that's a world. To the universe, that's dust. You can fly around it in less than 2 days. It's manageable. Now step back. The sun is 150 million kilometers away. Light, the fastest messenger in existence, takes over 8 minutes to cross that gap. If the sun vanished right now, you'd still be enjoying a sunny afternoon for 8 more minutes before the lights went out. That is a gap you can still sort of measure in time. But now take the next step, the nearest star. Not a distant galaxy, just the neighbor next door, Proxima Centauri. It is 424 light years away. Now, your intuition hears 424 and thinks, that's a small number. I can do 4 of something. But let's translate that into human terms. The fastest object humanity has ever built is the Parker Solar Probe. It screams through space at roughly 692,000 kilometers per hour. That is fast enough to get from New York to Tokyo in under a minute. It is unimaginably fast. If you hopped on that probe and headed for Proxima Centauri, how long would the trip take? A month? A year? No. It would take 6,600 years. That is the nearest star. If you had left Earth at the exact moment the Great Pyramids were being finished, traveling at the fastest speed humanity has ever achieved, you would just now be arriving. And that is the next door neighbor. Let's scale it up again. The Milky Way galaxy, our home city, it is 100,000 light years across. If you wanted to cross it at the speed of the Parker Solar Probe, it would take you hundreds of millions of years. That is longer than the entire evolutionary history of mammals. You would evolve into a different species before you reach the halfway point. And before we spiral too deep into the existential void, I want to ask you a small favor. We are about to tackle concepts that get much heavier. like why time travel is impossible and why your biology hates space. If you want to keep exploring the darkest corners of physics with me, just take a second to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that you value truth over comforting lies, and it helps me keep making these deep dives. Okay, we have established that space is big, but you might be thinking, so what? We just need to go faster. And this brings us to the second verdict, the cruelest verdict, the speed of light. Most people think of the speed of light, roughly 300,000 kilometers per second, as a technical challenge, like the sound barrier. We used to think we couldn't fly faster than sound, and then we built a better engine, and boom, we did it. So surely we just need a better engine to break the light barrier, right? Wrong. The speed of light is not an engineering limit. It is a structural limit of reality. It is the speed of causality. It is the maximum speed at which an event here can affect an event there. Here is the trap. In our daily lives, if you push a car, it accelerates. If you push it twice as hard, it accelerates twice as much. This is linear thinking. But as you approach the speed of light, physics stops being linear. It becomes asymptotic. As you push an object faster, it gains kinetic energy. But as you get near that cosmic speed limit, a strange thing happens. The energy you pump into the ship stops making it go faster and starts making it effectively heavier in terms of relativistic mass. The more you push, the more the universe pushes back. To get a spaceship with mass to reach 100% of the speed of light requires not just a lot of energy, it requires infinite energy. I don't mean all the energy in the sun. I mean literally infinite. There is not enough energy in the entire observable universe to accelerate a single grain of sand to the speed of light. It is a vertical wall. You can get to 90%, maybe 99%, maybe 99.9999% if you burn a galaxy worth of fuel, but you will never, ever cross it. So when people ask, why don't aliens just come here faster? The answer is simple, because they can't. It doesn't matter if they are a type 3 civilization that eats black holes for breakfast. They still live in the same universe we do. They still obey Einstein. And this leads to the practical nightmare of interstellar travel. Let's say you accept the speed limit. You decide, okay, we will just go at 10% of the speed of light. That's slow for the universe, but incredibly fast for us. This brings us to the third verdict, energy and the tyranny of the rocket equation. This is the one that really kills the dream. It's not about philosophy, it's about the gas tank. In 1903, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky wrote down the rocket equation. It sounds boring, but it is the most brutal equation in history. It says this: to move a ship, you need fuel, but fuel has mass. So to move the fuel that moves the ship, you need more fuel, but fuel has mass. So to move the fuel that moves the ship, you need more fuel, but that extra fuel also has mass. So you need even more fuel to move the extra fuel that you need to move the original fuel. It is an exponential curse. Let's try a concrete example. Imagine you want to send a ship to the nearest star, and you want to do it in a human lifetime, so let's say 40 years. You need to accelerate to a decent percentage of light speed. And then, and this is the part everyone forgets, you have to stop. You have to decelerate when you get there. That means you need to carry all the fuel for the braking maneuver all the way across the galaxy, accelerating it the whole time. If you do the math using our current best chemical rockets, the amount of fuel you would need to accelerate a single human to Proxima Centauri in a reasonable time frame would exceed the mass of the entire observable universe. Okay, let's upgrade. Let's use nuclear fusion. We don't have it yet, but let's pretend. Even with fusion, to get a small ship to a nearby star, the ship would have to be almost entirely fuel. We are talking about a flying fuel tank the size of the Empire State Building to deliver a payload the size of a toaster. And what about antimatter? That's the holy grail, right? Antimatter is the most potent fuel source in existence. 1 gram could level a city. But here's the catch. We make antimatter in particle accelerators, atom by atom. It costs billions of dollars to make a few nanograms. To make enough to power a starship, you would need to dedicate the entire energy output of the human race for millions of years just to fill the tank once. And remember, the universe operates on a cost-benefit analysis. Even if a civilization is advanced enough to harvest the energy of a star, a Dyson sphere-level civilization, they are also advanced enough to do math. They would look at the energy cost of sending a meat sack or a robot to a tiny blue planet 10,000 light years away, and they would realize it is a complete waste of resources. Why burn a star's worth of energy to visit a planet that might not even be interesting, when you could use that energy to build a virtual paradise in your own backyard? Advanced civilizations aren't just powerful, they are efficient. And interstellar travel is the definition of inefficiency. But let's say they are stubborn. Let's say they have infinite money and they don't care about the laws of efficiency. They launch the ship. Now they face the fourth verdict, biology. We love to imagine humans in spacesuits hopping around looking cool, but the human body is a drama queen. It was evolved for one specific environment, Earth. 1G gravity, atmospheric pressure, magnetic shielding. Space is a radioactive hellscape. The moment you leave Earth's magnetic field, you are being pelted by cosmic rays. These aren't just light, they are high-speed subatomic bullets, protons and heavy ions moving near the speed of light. They don't just hit your skin, they tear through your hull, through your body, and smash your DNA to pieces like a shotgun blast to a library. On a trip to Mars, your cancer risk skyrockets. On a trip to another star, you are dead before you pass Pluto. You would need shielding meters thick, lead, water, concrete. But remember the rocket equation? Shielding is heavy. Heavy means more fuel means more mass. It's the loop of doom again. And it's not just radiation, it's gravity. In 0G, your bones dissolve. Your heart shrinks because it gets lazy. Your eyes deform. After 6 months on the ISS, astronauts come back broken. Imagine a journey of 600 years. Oh, just put them in cryosleep, you say. Well, freezing a living cell causes the water inside it to crystallize, acting like little daggers that shred the cell membrane. We don't know how to freeze a person without turning them into mush. Generation ships, you say. Let them live and die on the ship, and their great-great-grandchildren will arrive. Have you met humans? Put 500 people in a metal tin can for 500 years. Social structures will collapse. Language will drift. Genetic defects from inbreeding will spiral. By the time they arrive, they won't remember why they left, and they certainly won't be in any shape to negotiate a treaty. Biology is the software of Earth. It does not run on the hardware of space. But maybe the aliens aren't biological. Maybe they are AI, robots. Silicon doesn't get cancer, right? True. But silicon is sensitive to radiation, too. High-energy particles flip bits in computers, corrupting data. Over thousands of years in deep space, without a genius bar to fix the hardware, entropy takes over. Circuits degrade. Metal fatigues. Micrometeoroids, the size of dust grains, hit the ship with the force of hand grenades because of the relative velocity. Even a machine has a lifespan, and the galaxy is wider than any warranty. To the fifth and final verdict, the one that truly explains the silence, information and time. Let's assume a civilization overcomes distance, energy, and biology. They are out there. Why haven't they called? Because the universe is a terrible telephone service. We have been broadcasting radio for about 100 years. That means our presence has formed a bubble around Earth that is 100 light years wide. In the context of the Milky Way, which is 100,000 light years wide, our bubble is a microscopic dot. We are shouting into a hurricane. For someone to hear us, they have to be looking exactly at us at the exact right time on the exact right frequency. Think about the cosmic haystack. There are billions of stars, billions of frequencies. If an alien points their radio telescope at Earth, but they do it in the year 1500 AD, they hear silence. We hadn't invented radio yet. If they listen today, but they are 200 light years away, they hear silence because our signals haven't reached them yet. This leads to the problem of asynchronous civilizations. Civilizations rise and fall. Humanity has been technological for maybe 200 years. We might last another 1,000, maybe 10,000 if we are lucky. But the universe is 13.8 billion years old. The chances of two civilizations existing at the same time, in the same neighborhood, at the same technological level, are effectively zero. It is like two fireflies blinking once in the middle of a dark forest, but one blinks on Tuesday and the other blinks on Friday. They never see each other. Someone might have lived on a planet near Proxima Centauri 1 billion years ago. They are gone now. Someone might rise there 1 billion years from now. We will be gone. The tragedy of the universe isn't that it's empty. It's that the party guests are arriving at different times. So when you combine these 5 verdicts, distance that breaks the mind, a speed limit that breaks physics, energy costs that break the bank, biology that breaks the body and time that breaks the connection. The conclusion is stark. Aliens aren't coming. And this brings us to the elephant in the room. But what about the UFOs? What about the Navy videos? Look, I love a good mystery, but let's apply the physics we just learned. We see videos of craft accelerating from 0 to Mach 20 in a second. Do you know what happens to matter when you do that? G-force. To accelerate that fast would generate thousands of G's of force. At that level, electronics flatten, metal liquefies, biological pilots turn into a red mist instantly, and yet these craft don't interact with the air. No sonic boom, no ionization trail. An object moving that fast in the atmosphere would rip the air molecules apart, creating a massive trail of plasma that would light up the sky like a second sun. You don't see that in the videos. You see a blurry gray blob. What is more likely? That an alien civilization mastered infinite energy, broke the laws of inertia, canceled out sonic booms, traveled 10,000 light years, and then decided to play hide and seek with a U.S. Navy jet while getting caught on a grainy infrared camera? Or is it more likely that it's a camera artifact, a rotating gimbal glare, a drone, a bird seen through a parallax effect? I know it's boring. I know we want to believe, but extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and blurry videos are not evidence. They are just blurry videos. If aliens were here with the energy output required to get here, you wouldn't need a grainy video to prove it. You would know. The physics of their arrival would be undeniable. But I promised you at the start that this wouldn't be a sad ending, and I mean it. Because when you strip away the fantasy of aliens coming to save us or destroy us, you are left with something far more profound. We are forced to look at the universe as it actually is, a place of rules, a place of structure. Think about it. If the speed of light wasn't a limit, causality would break. Effects could happen before causes. The universe would be a chaotic mess where history couldn't exist. The same rules that trap us here are the rules that allow stars to burn steadily, atoms to hold together, and life to evolve. The silence of the universe forces us to grow up. It forces us to realize that no one is coming to help us fix our climate or our wars or our economy. We are the only ones here. This fragile blue marble is the only lifeboat we have. And there is a beauty in that isolation. It makes us precious. If the universe was teeming with Star Trek ships zipping around, Earth would just be a truck stop. But in a universe of silence, Earth is a miracle. Life is a statistical impossibility that happened anyway. We are the universe waking up and looking at itself. And we aren't stopping the search. We are just getting smarter about it. We are looking for technosignatures. We are looking for the heat waste of Dyson spheres. We are looking for laser pulses. We are listening to the stars, not with the desperation of a child lost in a mall, but with the patience of a scientist. We may never shake hands with an alien. We may never share a drink in a cantina. But we share the same physics. We share the same elements. The carbon in your right hand and the carbon in an alien's left tentacle were forged in the same kind of dying stars. We are connected not by spaceships, but by the fundamental laws of nature. So the next time you look up at the night sky and feel that crushing silence, don't feel lonely. Feel proud. We are here. We are understanding it. We are the seemingly impossible result of 13.8 billion years of cosmic lottery. And for now, that is enough. We have to accept the verdicts, distance, time, energy. But we don't have to accept ignorance. Keep looking up. Keep asking the hard questions. And remember, the universe doesn't owe us an answer, which makes finding one all the more sweet. If you made it this far, you are part of the 1% who actually cares about the deep truth. If you want to join me on the next adventure where we tear apart reality to see how it works, make sure you are subscribed. Let's keep exploring the silence together. See you in the next one.
And that was Professor Feynman, and the YouTube account is called Feynman Analysis. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you're not neutral and that the government has no rights.